Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Ibrox. Just zipping myself up because it's cold now. After Rangers 1, Hearts 0 in the Scottish Premiership. A game, I guess, which we don't maybe learn that much from. Rangers got the points that they needed. Van Bronckhorst said yesterday, it doesn't matter how we win, but we just need to win. And his side did. But up until that kind of hour mark, it was more of the same difficulties that they faced. I arrived at Ibrox with a bit of a sore head tonight. Don't know why. It didn't feel my best, and the first half of football didn't appease that much. But Rangers did, it must be said, improve thereafter. Ryan Kent, in a way, kind of summed up the game quite well in the first half. He struggled to create much. I think Rangers were over dependent on him to create chances in the final third, and in the second half he was improved and provided the magic to open up Hearts. Now, in a way, I think that kind of epitomises why things are going wrong for Rangers. As I say, I don't think it was a game that suggested they'd turned a corner, and I don't think they will before the international break. I think it would be probably a bit naive to suggest they would do. But they required magic from a player, from an individual, to open up a defence against the Hearts team that came and sat in and made it difficult. We spoke about that pre-match. Would they, sensing blood, attack Rangers and go for it, be in their faces as Aberdeen did, or would they sit off, be slightly less aggressive, but in doing so frustrate them, aim to frustrate them and not give up many chances, which was the case. Rangers, laboured in the first half. The only real opportunity they created came when they played into space. It was after James Sands pinched the ball off one of the Hearts players, played it forward to Kent, who did pick it once from Will, but fired just over the bar. And I thought after the break, the substitutions lifted the energy. Morelos, Arfield, and Wright. The manager said, kind of unprompted in the post-match press conference there, that Matondo wasn't able to give the contribution he needed, which is interesting to see him single out a player. He also singled out Kent for some praise, I think justifiably so. It's good to see him back to those levels that we know he can bring, and hasn't done so that often. So do let me know what you think about the game in the comments, and we will get through a few of them before, as you can see, the lights are starting to go off around me at Ibrox, so we'll maybe not call it too long. We'll of course be live tomorrow morning, myself and Derek. Allen says 3 points, but still need to improve. Far better second half. Innes says we badly need a leader on the pitch. I feel Lawrence could be that man. Yet, interestingly, at the game, Innes, me and a couple of people sitting next to me were noticing in the breaks, whether it be an injury break or a substitution break, there was actually a lot of conversation going on between the team. Tavernier a few times went up to Kent in the first half, or maybe not a few times, a couple of times, to put an arm around the shoulder. Tillman as well, but Barisic as well. So I think that did happen. I think there was leadership. I think you could see the players were fighting and they were together, and they needed that win so much, because if Hearts had equalised, if Hearts had taken the lead, Halliday had a great chance at the back post. The ball just went through his legs. Then it could have obviously been a completely different story. That's how I think vulnerable the current situation is. But the manager obviously justifiably very happy to get the points speaking after the game. Nancy says 3 subs made a difference. Yeah, absolutely, Nancy. Totally agree with you. I thought Wright was an upgrade of Matondo, who continues to kind of struggle at the start of his Rangers career, especially on the right-hand side. Morelos, Cholak looks to have hit a little bit of a bad dip of form, which I think was always going to happen, given the rate he was scoring at. And Morelos, good to see him look a little bit sharper, and Arfield as well, who just brought energy, pressed, and when Rangers needed that, because obviously it wasn't until just after the hour that Malik Tillman scored that goal, and boy, did they need that. Laurie says, measure Gio when most of the injuries return and on who he buys in the next window, then give him to the end of February. Not fair to measure him with such a depleted side. The second half was much better. Yeah, the manager, as I mentioned at the top of the show, said it wasn't important how Rangers got the points. It was important that they got them. Obviously, I think, in a sense, that kind of shows why he is under the pressure he is at the moment, because people have struggled to see a discernible style of play and a process that will ultimately kind of bring success at the end of this. But equally, they did get the points tonight. That was obviously the important thing, and I think they deserved it. Hearts didn't have too much; they had a few moments in behind, but generally, I thought Rangers defended the speed they were up against and Josh Ginnelly pretty well. Must be said, that was a depleted Hearts side as well. I think the real test for Rangers comes, and we'll obviously be building up to this on the website, The real test comes for Rangers in the form of St Mirren away at the weekend. That's the type of game that this team in this type of moment you'd think would really struggle with. If they can get a win there, if they can create chances against that deep block, then maybe that is a sign that they've started to turn a corner. But I think most people would agree that you need a more cohesive run of games, cohesive run of performances to say that you have turned that corner. Obviously, I think the manager will be hoping to get through the weekend and then use the World Cup break as a chance to reset. James says Morelos needs to start. Interesting to see a lot more positive discourse about Morelos after the game on social media. He came on and I thought he was improved up front. Cholak, as I say, didn't have a great game. I thought Morelos looked sharper. For me, he was able to switch play a few times. There was that one moment where he took the ball and turned onto his left foot. It was very much like Morelos of old. And Joe, just on that topic, bit of a dip for big Cholak just now, given how he started the season. Yeah, he was scoring at double the rate of his expected goals. I think it was always going to happen. His goal return is still remarkable. Still, per 90 minutes, not far off a goal per game in the league, which, come the World Cup break, I think anyone from a Rangers point of view within the club would have taken that. But maybe it is a chance for Morelos against St Mirren at the weekend to come back in. Alan says, unlike Roy Mackay, I don't think tricks are for the circus. This is obviously a social media clip that circulated about this time last year almost, when Mackay said that to Kent in a rondo, which kind of picked up a lot of traction at the time. The bit of invention and trickery from Kent won us that game. He attracted Hearts players, which left space for Barisic. Great point, Alan, to pick out Tillman, who finished the move. Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. But crucially, what Kent did was he released the ball at the right time, and so often he doesn't do that. For me, he takes an extra touch. He shoots in the wrong position. I don't think his decision-making has been brilliant. And then when he gets into the positions where he could make an impact, the move breaks down. But he attracted 3 Hearts players, as Alan says, and released the ball at the right time, which made all the difference. Barry getting in touch to say 3 points, but it was a hard watch at points. Matthew, no Tillman and Sands for the USA. Yeah, they both miss out on the World Cup squad. Phil K saying Wright was excellent when he came on. Aside from that, not a great deal of positives. Kent came on to some form and about time too, and some other kind of more pessimistic views. Derek Gray saying one word, struggle. Nicholas saying that performance tonight was a horrible watch. Even though it was a win, I wasn't confident we would walk away with all 3 points. And William saying thanks for the report. Josh didn't watch the game, so good to hear all about it. Yeah, and we'll have lots of coverage obviously on our YouTube channel tomorrow morning at 9:30, the morning briefing. But as well as that, do subscribe over on the website. I'll stick that little banner on the moment. Just £1 for 2 months at the moment. If you support, if you watch us, I'm struggling to get my words out tonight. If you watch us on YouTube, then it really supports us if you can subscribe to the website as well, and you get loads of great content for just £1 a month. I'm absolutely sure that you will enjoy it. Let's just get through a couple of more comments before we call it a day. As I say, the lights are going off around me. It's Ibrox. Mark saying, don't know who was more worried, the players or Ibrox. So there's a bit of nervous energy tonight, but wasn't too nervy an ending. I've seen more nervy endings at Ibrox in the last couple of seasons. Rangers did manage to see it out relatively well. There was one moment where Leon King kind of dived into a challenge and Alan McGregor went absolutely ballistic at him when the next move broke down to maybe encourage him to not do that in the 90th minute. I thought overall, though, he and his defensive partner Ben Davies defended the speed they were up against well. So we're going to leave it there, as I say, before we get chipped out of the stadium. We'll be live tomorrow morning at 9:30. Join us for the morning briefing to look back on the game. We'll also be looking ahead to St Mirren at the weekend. Until then, thank you very much for joining me. Always appreciated, so it's not just me speaking to myself. And I will speak to you tomorrow morning.